What it is, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of the Third Intermission Podcast. This is your boy Dave signing on this lovely, cold ass Canadian evening. Of course, polar vortex ain't sparing nobody. It doesn't matter if you're out in BC, you're out in like Gander, Newfoundland, or you're out in the Northwest Territories, man. It's cold everywhere. It's even cold in like Doug Ford's gym still. But in any event, Um, follow us wherever you follow us on the socials.
Wait. The man said, wait, we have to pull that up still. We have to pull it up, rude boy, because, the man say, the
Reload
man
it.
say.
Reload it.
Rude boy, what you just say?
It's colder than Doug Ford's gym. Oh man.
New record.
Sound effects for that. That was crazy. Anyways, follow us on the socials at Twitter on Twitter and on Instagram at Toronto Third. Subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts from. That includes Spotify, Google, iHeartRadio, Amazon, and our friends over at Podbean. And of course, if you're seeing us on YouTube, like, follow, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell because we'll be hitting you with bare episodes. All right. Anyways, got ourselves a fun panel for the evening. Of course, as you heard the hood, you heard the Yadi himself, aka the Yad General Jason. You also heard the Hood General himself, Mr. Troy Piper Bowen, and we also got the right hand of the king, aka the Fedora Man, aka Mr. Steal Your Girl, Mr. Avery McDougal in the building as well. Avery, since you have been trying to keep your composure, how are you doing, sir?
Oh, I think that was a new record for a while now. At least 12 seconds in, this man said it's cold in Doug Ford's gym, an unused building. Wild. Hey, Doug Ford Steiner can stay. Doug Ford Steiner can stay in this show.
So what are you saying? We're not gonna clip. We're not gonna cut that part.
What do you do for us? What has Doug Ford done for the people?
Exactly. Doug Ford ain't do nothing but give me $4,000 rent and nothing but PTSD.
Man said PTSD.
I can't say what I want to say, but dead ass, this man's giving me mental health issues and high rent and low employment. So there you go.
I could see Dave going to the Rolodex of what will not get me sued right now? What will not get me catching a lawsuit?
Trust me. Dog, my Rolodex is more full than the Conservative Party caucus that's happening this weekend, and there's no media allowed still. Anyways, Troy, how you doing?
I am doing okay for the most part, for lack of better terms. I am still busy trying to clean off every surface I can find with this mystery substance that my son has managed to get all over the place, including himself. Um, and I'm also trying to make dinner while I chop it up with you guys. I'm also scratching my head about different hockey-related things, but I'm sure we'll touch base on that.
Yeah, we definitely
How
will.
about you? What's going on?
Trying to stay warm in this polar vortex right now. Unfortunately, Florida has decided to opt out of the situation, so not sure why. But of course, we're all trying to stay warm as we live in Ontario, and Avery lives in Alberta right now.
Yeah,
Anyways,
the snow we're getting over here is absolutely crazy. I don't know what you're getting over there in Kitchener, but where I am in my little corner of the city, they've plowed the townhouse complex and they've put all the snow in visitor parking, which my lawn backs onto. They've piled so much snow that this is easily like 15 feet high. They've blocked the catwalk so people can't go through and cut down the other street. So you got to walk around the whole block now. And apparently, my driveway seems to be a perfect place for them to place the snow, which means I have to shovel a path in my driveway just to put my garbage in. And because they've already messed up the recycling and garbage schedule because Doug Ford privatized the recycling. I messed up weeks. My garbage didn't get picked up. My compost did, but because the garbage man couldn't put the bin back properly like he normally does, what did he do? He dashed it on the snowbank in my driveway. So now I gotta climb a hill to go get my compost bin. Thanks, Doug.
Yo, and you know what, bro? Like, I don't think like they were prepared and they did a good job as far as the snow removal, like in the GTHA. Still, they could have done a better job with that because it's like they're telling us it's orange, stay in your house, it's gonna be 40 centimeters. So you guys know that. You guys should have been like making sure you had the right locations to dump the snow and remove the snow from Jump Street. They waited too long to remove the snow, bro. Real thing, man.
No, that ass, I agree with you because, like, it's even like that here in the Tri Cities area. Because, like, how is it that Quebec, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, Alberta of all places, and hell, even the Maritimes, how is it that they have proper snow removal? Because, like, they got they got trucks with snowblower attachments on them, and then they're dumping them all into like these big ass dump trucks, and they're dumping it to the Dashway to Tin Pond somewhere else. Why do we not have that here in Ontario? Like, dead ass.
Because we're the only province that will politicize the weather element and make it to such a point where it's like, no, you should be responsible for this. You're responsible for this. Well, I need money to do this. Well, I ain't giving you money. Every
Well, I
other
mean,
province is like, no, let's get at it.
anyways, we do have a lot to talk about today in regards to hockey. So let's just focus on that one time. All right. First things first, we need to talk about the major elephant in the room, and that is the Leafs right now, as they are now currently 6 points out of a wild card spot, 8 points behind the Sabres at the time of this recording. And it is looking like it is a gong show. Like the Stanley Cup hopes for the Leafs are darker than trying to find Michael Blackson in the Atlantic Ocean at 4:44 in the morning with no moonlight. It is that dark. It is blacker,
Whoa.
hope is so bleak. It is blacker than Wesley Snipes, guy. Like it
Yo, chill, dog. Chill.
is that
Chill,
dark.
chill.
Jeez. We're gonna talk about that. We're also gonna try and see, like, should the Leafs keep it running, or should they just stop the train and say, you know what, screw it, let's go for a rebuild. Let's tank for McKenna. We're gonna discuss that real quick. We're also going to look into the Battle of Quebec 2.0 or 2.1, as I'll call it in this situation, as Colorado is going to be wearing their Quebec Nordiques jerseys. Avery, Jason, and Troy and I will try and debunk that and see what type of messiness I'm going. So much and more. But first things first, we do want to take a little bit of a serious note here and actually dive into the whole Leaf situation. First things first, as a Leafs fan, I have to say this, like, just outside of any confines of like any like media relations or any analysis points. Right now, it is extremely bleak in Leafs Nation. Imagine coming off of a great road trip where you at least get some solid, stable hockey, and you come home and you lay 5 solid eggs on home ice. One, I can understand. Two is questionable. 3 is a problem. 4 is a disaster. 5 is just a complete and utter disgrace at this point. You go 0-4-1 in your entire homestand from a 2-week period in January, or not even a 2-week period in January, a 1-week period in January, and you have nothing to show for it. Like, you've been taken out by the Sabres, the Red Wings, the Avs, the Mammoth, and finally your ex-boyfriend, aka Mitch Marner, and the Vegas Golden Knights. What is going on with this team? And, like, you know what? I'm going to open this up for discussion. It's like, at this rate, like, what? what's the breaking point for this team at this rate? Because like we got players doling out middle fingers on national television. You got empty seats. You got fans complaining about concession prices online, and then trying to eat each other alive. And now it's like they're trying to eat each other alive as to like whose fault is what in this situation. And it's like it's getting bad. It's getting to a point where it's unfortunately just insane at this rate. And even as a Leafs fan right now, like this ain't it. So let's dive into this. Avery, I'm gonna start this off with you. Like, what's going on at Leafland right now?
First off, Dave, I don't want to be. You know what? There's still a lot of hockey to be played, but if the Leafs don't turn things around, this is gonna be the new goal song played at Scotiabank very soon. 1 second.
They're not here nothing. You're not here nothing.
You can't hear that? Hold on,
No.
1 sec. Hold on.
Well, it's also helpful.
Hold on. Let me see. Let's see hear it now.
It also doesn't help that you have headphones on. You know that, right?
Can you hear that?
Hear what?
No, we can't hear. He's saying nothing, man. Avery's a jerk, bro. Like,
Yo, stop
Avery's
this.
a jerk.
I had actual song to play.
That was pretty good.
I had
pretty
actual
Avery.
song to
Actually,
play.
that was pretty solid. I hate you for that.
That was solid. That was solid. That was solid.
Oh, now you heard
Avery
it.
got us. Avery got us.
Yo, that's a dopey thing. That. Nah, that's crazy. That's crazy work, man. All right, continue.
I mean, this is a team where they lost at the time of this recording. They've lost 5 games in a row. They're getting consistency. Nylander has been hurt. And I look at this team, I think to myself, what does this team want to be? Because in Eastern Conference, that window to win is going to close. It is closing quickly on an organization that thought, we can soldier on after losing Mitch Martin. We can bring in some more pieces here and there. But this team just is not finding consistency, and they're not getting wins against teams in the Eastern Conference. And if you're a Leafs fan, it's frustrating because you're seeing, like you mentioned, Dave, you're seeing Buffalo and Detroit teams start to figure it out. Buffalo is in a playoff spot, comfortably in a playoff spot right now in the Eastern Conference. So I really don't know what more you can really do because I know we've talked privately about what changes could be. I know, Dave, you're very anti firing Craig Berube, but we all know in hockey that the quick solution for many teams has always been let go of the head coach, get that new coach bounce, try and attack things from that point on. But I don't know what more this team can really do because they back themselves into a corner. And I don't think this team I still don't think this team is going to be a seller at the trade deadline. I think they're going to hang on to that a little bit of hope. They can get back into things. But if they come out of the Olympic break flat, still flat, they come out in late November and they're still flat, then whoo boy, it really might be sell season and punting on the season.
No, I gotta agree with that, but I want to hear Troy and Jason's thoughts first before I kind of just break into madness at this point. Well, mind you,
Oh
Troy's still
boy.
cleaning his bathroom, so
Bathroom?
Yeah.
No, not the bathroom, dude. This is my whole living room. It's the whole main floor.
Lord God. All right, Jason, I'll let you go first then.
Oh, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know where to start, bro. You could start with the Fraser Minton trade. I don't know, bro. Like I don't know, bro. Like I really don't know. Normally, like I don't like buckle under pressure and thing like that. Like when it comes to these guys, because I've been just used to watching them for so long, so I know like when they're playing good versus when they're playing bad. But right now they're just in a funk. But this funk is like I've seen dark times, but this is like extra dark. This is like dark with like pure like Scotch bonnet pepper, bro. The way
Right?
this one is stinging. This one is stinging, man. Like more times, like I just think that like the type of hockey these guys are trying to play is not successful, and then the injuries that Avery like touched on. You gotta like factor in guys like Dakota Joshua. Him being injured, Dakota Joshua being injured definitely hurts the Leafs in so many ways because not only was like Joshua big on the dump and the chase or retrieving pucks from the corner and the walls and winning puck battles, but he potted a few goals, and those goals are missing those greasy goals. You know what I'm saying? And right now the Leafs don't have that it factor, right? And you got to go back to the Minton trade. Minton is playing on the first line in Boston now, like, and all we got was Brandon Carlo, like, and then we traded away Grabenkin. He's not doing the greatest in Philly, but a lot of like the hardcore fans are like, well, Tree Living made bad trades, and they're starting to look really bad right now. Like Carlo, like since he's returned, he's been okay. You know what I mean? He's looking like the older Brandon Carlo, but like you're not. I don't know. I don't know if Matthews is injured or if something is wrong and he does need surgery. But if this is the case, like I'm not a doctor, but if I could say anything to Austin Matthews, like, yeah, bro, it's your body and stuff, but you got to take a look at Jack Eichel, bro. The man sacrificed the game for a whole year to come back and win a Stanley Cup. You know what I'm saying? And that's the ultimate goal. Like to me, like there's spots where you see Matthews looking good. You know what I'm saying? And then there's spots where he's just not as engaged. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
it seems like Tavares is a guy like who we're putting too much pressure on. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, like he's still that guy. You know what I mean? But he's definitely declined. You can see that in his game. The Leafs, our Leafs, they're slow. They're like turtles. They should be called the Toronto Turtles, bro. The way they skate, because they're skating slow, bro. They're not aggressive. Did you guys see the Minnesota game, bro?
We
Every
did.
time Minnesota broke out of their back end, it was a controlled entry into our end. You know what I'm saying? And we can't move the puck like that, and that's hurting us because we're too slow. You know what I mean? And then Avery also brought up an interesting point pertaining to, oh, well, when a team starts losing, you want to fire the coach. You want to fire the bro. You can fire the coach, but this is not really, in a way, it's a coach thing, but in a way, it's a players thing. Like the coach thing for me, Avery, is what I'll argue is that a guy like Jacob Quillen, the kid from Quinnipiac who scored the goal in the Frozen Ice tournament
Mhm.
against Matthew Nyes and the Minnesota Gophers to win
Yeah.
in
Yeah.
overtime. Like you have this guy sitting down. Why do you have this guy sitting down if you gave away Alex Steves too and you weren't gonna bring him back? Cali, I don't understand how Jan Krok keeps sliding into the lineup. And then with this whole Easton Cowan thing, I get it. It's his first season. He's starting to find his groove, but eventually he'll mature. He'll mature. He's not mature yet, but he'll mature. And
Yeah.
then you got to look at the blue line. You got to look at Morgan Riley. The problem with Morgan Riley, and I'll tell you this: this is the problem with Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley is not getting paid 1A defenseman money to play 1A defenseman money. This is the problem. Yes, you can say, oh, Riley made a bad play, or Riley did this, or Riley did that. Maybe if you paid him a little bit more than 7.5 and you gave him more responsibility on the blue line, we'd be in better shape. Instead of trying to deploy this guy as some sort of offensive super weapon like Adam Fox. Morgan Riley is not Adam Fox. He's a puck mover, but Morgan Riley needs a steady defensive reliable partner on the back end. And this is where we go back to Avery, where we talk about the injuries, because we're missing by far our best defensive defenseman in Chris Tanev. So it's not only injuries, but it's also the way we're playing. Because based off of our prospect pool that we have in the AHL, there are guys that could slide into these roles. William Villeneuve is one of them. Cade Weber, maybe, maybe not. I personally believe that Ben Danford should have went to the Marlies because this guy has it. They're burning these like there's I don't know, bro. Like management more over firing the coaching. Tree Living only has one chance. And the one chance this guy has is gonna come at the trade deadline, bro. I see the Leafs are interested in everybody, but does everybody want to come here and play? This is the
No.
question. So if you're gonna make a move at the deadline, tree living, don't get somebody that's gonna walk away. If you're gonna get a Jordan Kyrou, make sure you're not giving so much back, bro. Because now it's looking like you got burned in the Fraser Minton trade. By far burned in that trade so bad, bro. So you gotta be smart how you use your assets at the deadline to acquire some sort of help. Me personally, at the deadline, it's Dougie Hamilton or nothing. For me personally, that's the only thing. It's Dougie Hamilton. And if you're gonna trade for a Robinson, which I highly doubt, but if you're gonna trade for a Robinson, be prepared, bro. Be prepared to let Cowan and McMahon go the other way. If that's what you're gonna do, and make sure Tree Living you have a contingency plan to fill those two slots with the guys down low in the AHL right now. And you do have guys that could come in and play, but are they going to be as effective as McMahon and Cowan? I don't know. All I know is Tree Living. The situation in Toronto is messed up, and people are looking for you with a pitchfork, bro. Because like yo, they want to put you on fire right now for what's happening with the Maple Leafs of Toronto, bro. And that's all I have to say about that.
Okay, very extensive. I really appreciate you for that, Jason. Troy, anything to add?
Okay, so I think first and foremost, the problem with the Maple Leafs starts at the very top. It starts and ends with Brad. I am not convinced he knows how to build a roster. I am really not. I think in regards to the Mitch Marner deal, not to downplay the skills of Nicholas Roy and Dakota Joshua, but everybody and their mama knows that we got Fleet. Everybody. He is put together like a paper mache kind of roster. He's just trying to patch holes just because he's just trying to patch holes. At no point in time does he seem serious, or he has seemed to be serious about wanting to improve this team to a point where you are successful again. This to me is just a continuation of the Santa plan, just with somebody else. Um, the fact that we have such a patchwork roster and that he's done nothing to address it, even though it's gotten this bad at this point into the season, it speaks volumes. So now it's like, is this truly his fault or is this his boss's fault? But ultimately, because he's the GM, he should have the ability to go to his bosses and say, you know what? I need this person, that person, and this person. Instead of just taking whatever you can get. You know, I understand that the salary cap can be an issue, but I mean, you have to do something. Um, should we be pushing the panic button? It is January, as of this recording, it is January 29th. My answer is yes. You absolutely need to hit the panic button. The one thing that I found troubling was when Anthony Stolarz came back from injury and he got that start and he lost. And then somebody asked Berube in the media scrum, you know, do you think maybe you should have, you know, gave Stolarz some AHL starts, worked him in a little bit, and he was just like, it wasn't my call. I'm sorry, you're the guy who sets the lineup. Whose fault is it? So it'll happen there. So there is some kind of disconnect between coach and management, and by extension, because there is a disconnect there, it leads to the players. So this is some sort of trickle down effect that is happening within the Toronto Maple Leafs. I also think that we're in the position that we're in because I feel like, you know, Hildeby is getting the short end of the stick here. And I think the problem started from the beginning of the year when we signed Hayden Primo. Like, everybody knew he is not an everyday NHL player. He's barely an NHL backup. I mean, I think his game is better suited for the minor leagues, but he is in no way, shape, or form ready for the pros. And that set us back tremendously to start the season. I have seen enough of Dennis LW's game for me personally to say I think when when the wall situation happened, you should have rolled with him instead of instead of immediately pushing the panic button and trying to find a solution. There were like I looked at that list when Primo got signed. There was like at least 20 goalies who had better save percentages than him last year who were available. You could have taken, but you went with the guy with one of the worst numbers that was up there on the list. Even over the course of the last few games, um, Hildeby honestly should have gotten more starts. Other than the random start here and there or coming in for relief because the Leafs are getting shelled and you want to get that opportunity you think to try and go for that the game tying goal. Like that's not fair to him. Like this man can play. Let him play. I think Stolarz got rushed back too soon. I don't know what's happening with Wall, but I feel like if you split the starts amongst the two or three of them, instead of trying to give one more of a workload than the other, I think you're in a better spot than last place in the Atlantic. I think with where we are in the standings and how we've been playing as of late, Brad Treliving doesn't have a choice but to make a trade at the deadline. He is that kind of guy. He's been well known to not make in-season trades, which is probably the dumbest thing you can do as a general manager of any team in any sport. But yeah, it's going to force his hand to make a trade. By the time that trade deadline comes around, are we going to be buyers or sellers? If this trend continues, we're going to be sellers. I don't want to be sellers. I'm sure, Dave, you don't want to be sellers. Avery, Jason, Martha, all of us. None of us want to be sellers. But if something doesn't change, whether it be Treliving himself or player personnel, if something doesn't change, then they'll be watching the playoffs from home with the rest of us instead of participating in it.
Those are some very fair points.
Sorry, go Dave. Go. My bad. I was gonna say that was a mic drop, bro. That was
No,
a
it
mic
was.
drop.
I don't even think I could say anything after that, to tell you the truth, because it's like, honestly, I was gonna go in on Treliving, but like after Troy just did that, like yo, we're done.
Yeah, no, for real. We not have that.
We're
But
not
no,
out
for
that.
real. Troy dealt with it proper. Still, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, and what I didn't say, Troy said, like, you know what I'm saying? So I really want to hear like what you want to add, Dave, on top of like what Avery, myself, and Troy said, bro, and kind of
Honestly,
like just seal it.
real talk. Like, I mean, there isn't really much left to say. I mean, again, I did make a mistake in saying that, like, we were playing the Mammoth during the homestand and we were playing the Wild. Like, unfortunately, like, Minnesota can't crash out on the Ice Agents, but they can crash out on the ice in Toronto. But like, it is what it is at this point. Like, the Wild were going wild in Toronto. That's pretty much how it went. Um, I've said this before. I'll say it again. Brad Treliving has been the quintessential focal point for this entire team ever since he's been hired. And when he got hired, I was extremely skeptical of him. I still am to this day, because in the amount of time that he's been with Calgary, he has not been able to put together successful teams. Let's take the Tkachuk Gaudreau trade, for example. Matthew Tkachuk goes from Calgary to Florida. Homeboy wins 2 Stanley Cups in Florida, and it has three finals appearances. What has Calgary done before he left? not even a second round appearance in like 2-3 years before Johnny Gaudreau decided to leave and unfortunately passed away while playing with Columbus. Look at the amount of times that, say, Treliving had a chance to actually bolster his defense. He got Milan Lucic. That fizzled out miserably. He had Nazem Kadri for a while. That failed miserably. And then he comes here. You know, we don't do anything with Mitch Marner disappearing. Like, no disrespect to Nick Roy and Dakota Joshua. I mean, that was a decent return, but it wasn't much. Trying to get Matthias Michelli to be the replacement for Marner. He's barely scored, let alone barely been a playmaker. Look at the defense core that we have right now. It's not much. It's like we're playing hockey with 3 forwards and 2 pylons, and a broken goalie that can only make saves half the time. You know, Joseph Wallace is an outstanding goaltender, but unfortunately, he can't stop those shots because of our bad defense. Anthony Stolarz is broken more than half the time. The man should have gotten an AHL start. I agree with you on that, Jason. Like, it's very hard to determine whether or not, should it be on the fault of Treliving itself? Should it be on the fault of Berube? Should it be on the fault of Leafs management as a whole? Should it fall on the players? Because I've always said every player should be held accountable. Matthews has not been a great captain for the last year. I'm sorry to say this, but he should not have gotten the seat. I didn't think he was mature enough for it, and this clearly shows it. Nylander has been carrying this team for how long? Same with Tavares. Matthew Knies is coming into his own. Morgan Riley. Morgan Riley's been here 10 years. And yet still this guy has been trying to be the captain of the defense corps, but he's basically shooting blanks now at this point. And I don't mean that in a pun. I'm being serious when I say this. It's this poor guy has not have a decent partner to play the blue line with. It's getting bad. It's giving me this whole, oh, I'm just here because I don't want to get fined type of vibe. It's giving me Marshawn Lynch vibes at this point. And unfortunately, this team just does not want to figure out or even try to figure out how to right the ship in this situation. Because unfortunately, it's oh, well, we put in our 60 minutes. We supposedly put in our 60 minutes. We tried to play a good game, and the pucks were just going towards the net, but they weren't going in. It's no, stop making excuses. It's you weren't shooting hard enough. You weren't as aggressive as you used to be. You're not fighting for the puck. You're just basically fighting to just keep your job. And unfortunately, that's how sad it is right now. I hate saying it, but it's true. You're not fighting for your job. You're just fighting to just stay here. What's that Shorzy quote that I always keep quoting? These boys don't like to win. They just don't hate to lose. And I'm sorry, but Toronto, the Leafs right now do not hate to lose. They just play here for the sake of playing here, and that's it. And I feel bad for the thousands upon thousands, if not, say, maybe even the millions of Leaf fans out there who have to watch this day in and day out. And it's there's apathy for a lot of Leaf fans right now. You're hearing it on Leaf podcasts. You're seeing it en route to the games. People just don't want to wear their jerseys anymore. People don't feel excited to watch a Leafs game anymore. They see a Leafs game as background noise now. You know how embarrassing that is? I understand there's rock bottom, but rock bottom has a basement right now. And it's basically the Leafs fan base right now. And it's sad to see because for a franchise that's nearly 110 years old, and to only have maybe a little over 10% of the league Stanley Cups in your trophy case, you really got to do better in this situation because you got your ass kicked by Florida twice, an expansion team that came in 30 years ago. or nearly 35 years ago. You got to do better at this point because if Columbus beats you and they end up winning the cup, and that happens to be your last year where you're on the last Stanley Cup ring before it gets removed, it is going to be a long while before you even deserve to be on that cup again. But then again, that's just my opinion in this situation. Folks, if you're hearing this right now, or if you're watching this, like, leave us a comment right now. Obviously, other than say, the Leafs just suck. Like, what's your opinion on this? Like, what can we do to right the ship? Other than potentially say, oh, just sell the team and just give up. Because, hockey is obviously going to stay in Toronto. But I couldn't say, like, Jason, Troy, and myself and Avery, we all have good points, but like, gotta figure out where to go from here. On that note, let's shift gears just a touch here. With all that being said, is it time to just let it go and just shut it down and just tank for McKenna at this point? Or at least a decent draft pick? Or should we try and run it back and see if we can get to the playoffs? I'm going to start this off by saying I don't think we should. At this rate, it's like you're trying to fight a losing battle here. Now, it may sound a little bleak and it may sound a little hopeless, but hear me out here. I would much rather give my guys some time to get some rest, get my players who are in the minors, get them some solid minutes, tell them to get their reps up in this situation, have them come out to the show and at least be able to play and, actually get a taste of what it means to be in the show itself, give yourself some trade value at least, or give yourself some decent value so that another team may pick you up on waivers, right? Fight your way through that. Maybe give some of the vets, like say a little bit of a break, have Matthew Nye see what it's like to lead a team for a while. Have Nylander, when he comes back, have him try and run a few games. Have Matthews try and run a few games by himself and see if he can actually lead his team. Give Hildeby a chance. Maybe shut Stolarz down for the year, or probably trade him to somewhere else. Give Caden Primo a few shots, Find a way to actually get decent draft picks so that you could start rebuilding properly rather than just, slapping lipstick on a pig and calling it somebody's next girlfriend. Like, it's just something you shouldn't be doing. Troy, I'm going to start with you. What do you think?
I think we should. What do we do? I mean, you could obviously try to tank for McKenna, but I don't think we'll be as lucky because let's say we do decide to just give up and bottom out and just clear out salary caps and things like that. You know what's going to end up happening? The lottery balls are not going to fall in our favor, and then we're going to get screwed again. So it's just like, I think you play it out, you play as hard as you can. If you're Brad Tree living, you get your thumb out of your butt, wipe it off, and then start dialing people to find out what can I get for who, and be serious in these phone calls. Because you're supposed to be a serious GM. Right now, he's just acting like a computerized GM in NHL 2K, where it's just mindless moves that don't make any sense. In terms of shutting players down for the year, way too early for that. Especially with the Olympic break coming, too early for that. I think you start having thoughts of those ideas when you figure out what you're doing at the trade deadline. Other than that, play it out, play as hard as you can, and let the chips fall where they may.
I'd say that's a solid answer. Jason, what about you?
Hold on one sec. I'm just in the kitchen, like seasoning fish and thing, man. Just give me 1 second, brother.
Telling you, man, the parents' duties never stop, especially on this podcast. Avery, I'm gonna go to you while we're waiting on Jason.
Like I said earlier, Dave, I do think that if this team can get things turned around, you are going to fall into a selling season right now. Because again, we already know how hard it is to gain ground in the NHL in the playoffs race. We already know how hard it is to gain ground in these 3-point games. So if this team can't figure out a way to chop down that lead in both the Atlantic and the wild card, then yeah, like I said earlier at the start of the show, if you're coming out flat again to end the season before the Olympic break, or if you come back and you can't string together those wins going into the trade deadline, then yeah, this season is cooked.
Speaking of cooked, Jason, you ready?
I need like 2 more minutes, bro. I just gotta throw some seasoning on the vegetables and stuff. Just give me like a minute, bro.
All right, got you. Um, in all honesty, I have to fully agree with both you and Troy on this, Avery, because it's like it's kind of a little wild for me to say that, like, oh, shutting it down early is what have you, right? Yeah, I'm not backing down on that. I'd rather just say, you know what, cut it off early, and just give the youth them a little 1-2 minutes here and there, you know, give us a chance to evaluate who we have. But yeah, it does make sense, you know. The Olympic break is fast approaching. Excuse me for 1 second, folks. Excuse me. Sorry about that. Cold and flu season is alive and well in Ontario. Make sure you're eating your vitamin C. You're drinking enough water. Minding your business. Real talk. Going back to what I was saying. Yes, the Olympic break is fast approaching, and you know what? Yeah, it does not make sense to potentially go, I guess, the extremist route and start shutting everything down so early. But at this stage, it's like, what else is there left to do? Right? Yes, you are 3 games out of a playoff spot in the East. You're 4 games behind Buffalo, maybe 5, depending on how Buffalo's doing right now. Buffalo's doing this evening. At the same point in time, it's like, can this team find a way to turn itself around and not kick itself in the ass? You know, it's extremely frustrating when you have a good team, or at least a decent team, not play to its potential. You've got guys like John Tavares who have been around, literally taking hometown discounts. Nice took a hometown discount just to stay here as well. You got 2 solid guys who have been trying to, create magic for this team, and it's not there. You have Nylander who's hurt, and he can't create the same magic he used to. And you've got young guys like Dakota Joshua, Troy Stetcher, Brandon Carlo. Some of these guys can play great games, but like when they're off, they're completely off. It's like having a dead battery. You work for like 2 seconds and then you're off for like the rest of it, and it's like it's frustrating.
So you mean like an iPhone?
Essentially,
This guy, don't this iPhone, bro. Don't this iPhone, bro. Yo, rude boy.
Hold on. Are we talking an iPhone 8 or are we talking like an iPhone 15?
Any of them, all the batteries are the same. They lie to you every year.
Nah, man. No, you got to know how to conserve your batteries still. Like a lot of people, they have these phones and they don't know how to utilize the battery and stuff, right? You got to make sure certain apps are off, you know what I mean? And you got to like take care of your brightness and these type of things still. Just true you're an Android guy, yo, get out of here, bro. Don't bad up the iPhone, bro.
Hold on. Leave Android out of this, man. Like, yo, we're not getting into this right now.
Okay. On a serious note, what was the question? I didn't catch it because I was doing too many things at once. Sorry.
No worries, man. Like, yo, is it time to shut it down, or is it time to like try and push for a playoff?
No, you don't. Okay, so you got to remember, this is the screwface capital. Toronto is the screwface capital, bro. And
Mm.
everybody in Toronto, well, doesn't matter what area you come from, bro. You know that like living in Toronto is like having your back against the wall and you're the underdog every time in every situation, bro.
I
We seen
agree.
this like you seen this with the Raptors, you know, when they won the championship with Kawhi, bro. We seen this in like 92, 93 with Joe Carter, bro, and the Jays winning the back-to-back World Series. We seen this in 1993. If you were born around those times, when Doug Gilmore was about to make some magic happen and he got high stick and Kerry Frazier missed the call, bro. Like our backs were always against the wall. You know what I'm saying? So I think that the Leafs don't shut anything down. I think that they play through it. You know what I'm saying? And you try to push for a playoff spot now. This is where you shut up the fan base, bro. You guys know you guys have been playing like hot dog water for at least a majority of this season. You guys have been playing like leftover hot dog water, bro. So now this is the time for the Maple Leafs of Toronto to show the fan base that they care about the people that, you know what I mean, go to the game to watch these guys perform at an elite level. You know what I'm saying? They should be giving that to us after watching the Blue Jays in the in the past season almost win the World Series. They should do that because of the way the Raptors are currently playing, bro. If you don't want to play in Toronto, don't stay here, bro. Go ask for a trade or something, bro. It's different down here, man. Our fan base is one of the best fan bases in the world. I'm not talking about the people that write on under people's like hockey players' profiles and say, "Oh, I wish you were I wish you were dead," or "You messed up my parlay," and all these things. You know what I'm saying? Not those type of fans. The ones that actually
Well, they're
care.
hockey fans at
And
that point. They're just greedy.
yeah, for real, bro. Like the like us that love the game and love the team, bro. We care about the performance of the team, bro. So no, you don't shut it down. You push for a playoff. You push for a playoff spot, and you shut the fan base up. You shut the fan base up by achieving that goal of getting to a playoff spot. And I like what Troy said earlier too. I didn't even get a chance to touch on it about are we buyers or are we sellers? We're gonna have to sell in order to buy, so we're both. You get what I'm saying, bro? Now the question is at the deadline, how are you going to tweak the roster? You know the back end is weak, so you know you got to get a piece to put there. Are you going to bring back Luke Shen, or are you going to try and get somebody that will put us over the top? I'm not saying Dougie Hamilton is Calgary Dougie Hamilton or Boston Dougie Hamilton. He's not that Dougie Hamilton anymore, but he's still Dougie Hamilton. And he has passion because there's a picture of him in a Maple Leafs jersey before he made it big. So that means something. You know what I'm saying? So if you go get a guy like Dougie Hamilton and you either roll the dice or you let your balls hang, pardon my French, you know what I you just let them hang out. You know what I'm saying? And you make a play to acquire a Kyrou or a Jason Robinson or someone of that magnitude, and you're giving away McMahon and Cowan. Like, if you feel that's gonna be the move, then you gotta roll the dice now. You gotta roll the dice now if you're gonna do it. You know what I'm saying? And if that doesn't work, then you're just gonna have to revisit it. But you gotta do something big at the deadline. Luke Shen and Braden Shen is not gonna cut it. It has to be like over the top. And I know they don't have the assets nor the cap space. But where there is a will, there is a way. I've seen some strange things happen as far as trades and cap goes in the NHL. So this is nothing new. You know what I'm saying? But Tree Living has to let his nuts hang and he has to make a trade. And these guys just gotta push. They gotta push and they gotta start fighting back in games. Because if they start doing that, that's gonna entice Tree Living to want to make a trade.
All right. So we're gonna try and end this real quick here. Jason, I love the animosity behind this. Honestly, I enjoy it very much. Real quick though, before we end off tonight's episode, of course, Battle of Montreal, the Battle of Quebec 2.1. The Colorado Avalanche, aka the Quebec Nordiques, taking on the Montreal Canadiens, and they are wearing their Nordiques jerseys. And as a Quebecer, I would feel sideways about this. But let's open this up really, really quickly here before we go. Jason, if you're seeing this right now and it's like, yo, you're a Nordiques fan and you're only here because it's like, yo, this team used to be the Nordiques. Like, would you feel some type of way about this, or would you feel like, you know what, hey, they're representing my heritage real well?
Yo, if I'm a Nordiques fan, bro, and I'm in Quebec, bro, yo, more times I'll be like it's a tribute still because yo, the Nordiques were there. That was the franchise that was there that moved to Colorado. So me, I'm looking at it as like yo, that's a respect thing still.
Troy, what about you? We saying it's a beef thing, or are we saying it's like, yo, it's just it's not even worth grilling at this point?
It is a big old nothing burger. I mean, if you're a Quebec Nordiques fan, you were definitely born before 1996. So if you're born after 1996, you got a problem with it. So honestly, no, you don't. You probably don't know your history. But yes, I think the whole Jersey thing is a big old nothing burger. Much like you guys said, it's paying homage, it's paying respect to the franchise that they once were. Because if if because Colorado would not exist if Quebec was still there, and they're not in Quebec still because of bad ownership. That's all there is to it.
And finally, Avery. As he tries to work his mute button.
Okay, so I do love the fact that the Quebec Nordiques brand is still being used. I love the fact that the Avalanche are paying tribute, but if you're a Nordiques fan, I get it. I understand from that standpoint of, hey, you took our team and then you're coming back and wearing these jerseys. But so I see both sides of the fact where Nordique fans want their team back and say don't wear those. At the same time, it's an homage to the past. I see from both sides. From my end, I like the fact that it's being acknowledged. I do like the fact that they're acknowledging their history. Although interestingly enough, this game is a color on color game with the Habs wearing their home jerseys and the Quebec wearing and the Quebec jerseys. So it's a blue versus red game. I do like the color on color, but for historic purposes, it would have been better if the Habs were wearing their road jerseys as opposed to also wearing their home uniforms.
Agree on that. For me personally, like it's one of those things where it's like if it's something along the lines of like, hey, you stole my team, now you're wearing my colors. It's like, yo, that's kind of grounds for me to give you a death odds one time. But like at the same stage, if you want to find a way to pay homage to the fact that like, yo, we stole your team and then wants two Stanley Cups right after, go right ahead. It's not my money at the end of the day. So it is what it is. I'm not buying an Avs jersey or a Nordiques jersey. Like, yo, I still have bare Leaf jerseys in my closet anyway. And that's the only jersey that's staying in my closet, other than the Leafs and the Raptors and the Argos and maybe the Saints. But that's it. I mean, I could mess with the Bills, but like, yo, I'm after Josh Allen's crash out, I'm done. Anyways, listen, I love the man, but like, yo, this man's making too many. Yo, this man's getting too many excuses, man. Too many pardons in the session still. Anyways,
Wait. That was a catch. That's all I'm gonna say. That was a catch.
yo, it was a catch, but like, yo, Tutu's like, yo, man's got more bailouts than GM did back in 2008 from the government. Anyways, let's end off this episode real quick before I apparently say something that'll get us sued. Anyways, Jason, Troy, Avery, thank you very much for coming through tonight. This has been a very fun episode. Want to thank our friends at Podbean for letting us just enjoy the space. And then finally, we want to thank you, the listener, for letting us grace the space in between your head top. We will be back with another episode later this week. Until then, drink your water, mind your business, and deuces.
Peace.